Michael, you there?
I'm here.
Michael McCormick, puppeteer. How are you?
Good to see you again.
Oh, great to see you. Do you have video, Michael?
I do. Yeah. Am I not coming through?
Not yet.
I'm
That
gonna
has.
I'm gonna hit ask to start video and see
Oh,
if you pop up there. Did you get anything?
Okay.
There you
yes,
are.
yes. How are you, Michael? So great to see you.
I'm good. It's good to see you. And this is going to be, are you finishing up? You told me.
Yeah, we have two more shows after tonight, so this is our third to last.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll be sorely missed.
Oh man, we'll miss doing some stuff like this. Like this is so great.
Sure.
We've been doing it. This is our eighth year, so it's gotten to be a lot. Gotten to be a lot
Yeah.
over the years.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so.
Oh man, but
Well, I mean, the new technology has really let us become, professional at the level that you're sitting there doing what it usually takes a massive studio to accomplish.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, absolutely. But it's an oversaturation too. Like it's also a very hard grind to get into, but it is fulfilling and it's awesome to see it genuinely get like listeners and subscribers and all that kind of stuff. It's been
Yeah,
a
yeah,
really
yeah,
great thing to see it grow over the years.
yeah, yeah.
How have you
So that's,
been?
I've been, reasonably well for a codger my age, and I've had some nice experiences with the puppets and doing talks. I'm doing a science fiction, the local science fiction club, having me in for a lecture and stuff coming up in a couple of weeks, and looking forward to that. So it's nice. It's a nice way to relate to your community.
That's
Yeah.
really cool. I was gonna ask too, Michael. I know you've taught puppetry over the years. How many puppeteers have you taught, and how many have come to you uh, because you're you? That they started because of you.
Good question. Uh, Albuquerque is kind of an isolated event in that regard. We don't get a huge amount of traffic through here of people who are looking to become successful in, New York or Hollywood. Uh, they tend to take shortcuts directly there. But I've had teaching at the university. Uh, it probably worked into between the university and here in Albuquerque and the State College in Las Cruces, NMSU. Uh, Probably close to 200 students. Yeah. And of those, of course, they were the apprentices that I took directly into my studio who helped me with everything, and they've all been pretty much gone on to be professional artists or professional puppeteers,
That's cool.
which
That's
is
cool.
very rewarding.
I didn't know if anyone ever like tracked you down and like was knocking on your door. Like that's how I'd feel. I would do. I would just be knocking at your door till you let me in.
I've had that a couple of times. Yeah.
Is it a slowing art too, puppetry?
Sorry, say it again.
Has it been like slowing down as far as how many people want to do that kind
Oh,
of a
the
thing?
pandemic just kicked the beans out of it. It kicked beans out of everything.
Yeah.
Um, and the rebuilding the studio and the fire I had here in the studio was that ripped the legs out from under me for a while.
Have you rebuilt?
Say,
Have you rebuilt?
yes, house is completely redone. Yeah, was a good insurance experience.
I can imagine, and I'm sure they're so great to deal with.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not sure everybody has those.
Yeah, yeah. But at least you had it to take care of it. That is good.
Yeah, and I've had uh, interestingly, you should ask this because my wife just brought up the fact that when I do workshops, they're almost always quite successful, and they're very difficult to do serious ones, because you end up having to work with sculpture, plaster, fabric, colored paints, and that's difficult to ask. A lot of people are not immediately facile with all those materials, so there's quite a catch-up cycle there. But it's and I have a tendency to disappoint the very energetic and sweet old ladies who show up, and somehow or another, it's challenging. What can I tell you? Yeah, that's a decent word. Challenge. Yeah, it's a challenge, but it's a challenge to them as well, because you can. Well, the most successful single workshop I ever had in my life. And interestingly, the woman who helped me organize that at the University of New Mexico was we're in the same little writing group, and we met earlier today. And we were talking about this in part, but her name was Bev Schoonover, and a fabulous artist herself, and excellent in the area of art education. So, which the University of New Mexico has always been reasonably strong in that area. In my backyard, it was a big backyard I had in the house previously that we were in the university area, and I had all these little kids, and then I had all these older people, right? So it struck me one day, hey, let me try this. I want to do them all at the same time. And I've never had an experience as positive and as rich as the day that all the old people and all the kids worked together to make puppets.
That's amazing. You wouldn't even think that would work, or it would just be too much of a hassle.
It wasn't too much of a hassle. I'll tell you, it was less of a hassle. The elderly would help the young with a problem. The young would help the elderly with problems. And it was a dialogue based on making stuff. Yeah. So it was just about as cool an experience as you can imagine.
It sounds like it.
Michael, I was curious. So in today's day and age, obviously, people are very creatively digitally today, right? Because of all the things that, all the tools on the internet and things you can do digitally. Do you feel like because of that physical creativity has declined?
Tell you the honest to God truth, the digital thing gets in my way all the time. Creatively, in terms of thinking positively about much of anything. And I'm talking about now the way it's used in film, the whole computer graphic issue becomes more and more intense. And I just realized that there are filmmakers out there who are refusing to apply it to their films. And they get a tremendous amount of support from at least a good chunk of their viewing audience. It's they know, what's going on. There's a trigger in the visual that occurs, and when something's not quite right. And I don't know what that means. It means a little something different every time you become aware that you're inside a cartoon.
Right.
It's
yes.
A construct would be a better word than cartoon, maybe.
I guess it's kind of like you can even look at Star Wars, like how the original films were so great because they didn't do much. I mean, he did some, but he did a lot of physical effects and stuff. And then the prequels came out and they were like all CGI and people were like, what is this?
Yeah. And then George tried to go back and take all the stuff that I had done and other people had done and turn it into computer graphic images. And it didn't work.
No, it definitely didn't work.
Shut the whole process down. And the real fans, he had to re-release it in its original form.
Yeah.
I felt very good that had happened.
I'm curious, did he have to ask you permission to do that? Like, hey, because now he's replicating your design digitally, right? So would he still have to kind of get your permission to do that?
Well, that's a funny world. The minute you get into the legal aspects of this thing, it gets weird, and particularly with companies like Disney or Industrial Light and Magic was a perfect example that. And also the basic fundamental unspoken rules of making things for films. There's usually the head of the crew. In ILM's case, it's Phil Tippett. And so anything that happens is under his umbrella, and he takes basic credit for it.
That's what I figured. I figured one person owned like the entire project.
That's right.
And had all
That's
the
right.
rights pretty much.
And the fact that Tony McVeigh and I made Salacious Crumb was I never got the full blow from Phil Tippett, but it was shortly that I injured myself and had to leave the picture anyway. So I avoided the battle that was brewing, but it's good. It was that was a challenge. But I found out just recently that of all the characters, Salacious Crumb was George Lucas's favorite. And he hung on the wall of George's office for 14 years before, like all latex of that type of thing, sort of drizzled away to piles of
Oh no!
Oh, do you have? Did he come to you wanting to buy another Salacious Crumb?
Oh no, he was long gone. The whole thing shut down. So the Disney bought the rights to. Except now, I just was reading today that the state of Florida and Disney are at dire grips at the moment, which is
Really? Wow. So is Florida trying to kick out Disney World?
Or take Disney down with them. Florida's like, we're going down. You're coming down with me, Disney.
What do you call that when you get something out of your government or whatever? They're like
secede.
secede.
They're
They're
seceding
from
from
Disney World.
absolutely.
Michael, I was going to ask, with it being one of our last shows, would you be able to show us a little puppetry?
I have the puppets all, the regular Punch and Judy set, all not finished because it's just the pressure's just been too great. So I can't actually, I can hold them and manipulate them and hold them up, talk about what they're doing, that sort of thing. Is that of any interest?
That would be,
that's awesome.
That would be so great to see.
Yeah, just a sec. And this is the Punch, which I'm sure, and he was caught in the fire. So that's what, he was completely costumed and everything. However, thank God the head survived, and and there's a good example of what they call incidental movement. I have no control of his mouth, but it works on its own.
Ah, okay, cool.
So cool. I love the teeth.
And the expression, I don't know if you can see that, the expression on his face changes when his position changes.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's what I've been working on, is doing that, is trying to create hard heads, hard heads as well, that give the impression of movement and motion, but remain hard.
Yes.
Wow. So it's not foam latex, which never works very well for actual working puppets unless it's in a film.
What's the best thing to use in an actual puppet?
I'm sorry, say again?
What is the best material to use for an actual puppet?
It depends on what kind of puppetry you're doing, entirely. If you're like I have always been a street performer for a traditional show of Punch and Judy, of which, in England, there are very few guys left. In this country, even fewer, even though we have a long tradition of the Punch and Judy too. And the politics of, feminism, attitudes towards husbands throwing babies out windows, all those things change. It seems at the moment we're sort of not being sort of humored by that in quite the way we were in the last century.
Yeah.
It's pretty strange. But that's, can you bear an empty chair here for about 2 minutes?
Yeah.
Great.
It's crazy how the times change. Though. You go back, you watch some All in the Family from like years ago. It's just like they could never get away with that kind of humor this day and age. And it's like it's still funny. Like even Back to the Future, which we'll talk to David, the producer, about later. Like you couldn't get away with a lot of the content in that movie nowadays. Like the racism, the incest, like there's so much in that film. Like there's just some stuff they could do 40 years ago that's just can't be done nowadays.
But it's also cool, and obviously people bring that stuff up, but people can still go back and enjoy that movie because when they know the time that it released, so they're not like if it came out today, they'd be like, what is this? We can't, but we can still go back and watch that movie when it came out, years ago.
You could do that, but there's also the point where I feel like they have redone those movies, so the same one's not available anymore.
Gotcha.
I got them all in one.
Wow, Michael. That's all of them.
That's the policeman.
Oh, okay, cool.
And his whole number is, you can't say that to me, Mr. Punch. I represent the law. Which is the only reason that one line that I made the mouth movable. That's the only reason you do pick up a special mechanical aspect to emphasize. It's like theater all the way. Yes. It's like if you're going to stab somebody, you use a collapsing knife. And in the same way with puppets, if his mouth doesn't have to move, why move it? But if he does have to say something, make sure it's the right mouth.
Wow. That's so cool.
Of course, this is probably not politically correct. Couldn't care less. You let the audience figure if they're going to stone you or not. And this is an interesting thing about it is that in the Punch and Judy, Punch fits on the right hand. It goes on the right hand, like that. And that's the only puppet that's ever on the right hand, is Punch.
Wow.
All the other puppets are on the left hand. So your characters come in and out of the scene, as in, you can't say that to me, Mr. Punch. I am a holy man. And Punch responds, holy what? Cool.
Right, so there's never a moment where Punch is leaving the scene.
No,
he's always
Punch
there.
is there to stay.
He's the main character.
Punch, as the English say, is there to send up the human condition. All of it. It really, but it's true. I mean, he takes the piss out of the entire universe. He He doesn't hold back. Nobody gets off the hook. And of course, it's amazing the things you get criticized for in this business, depending on where that point in the common thought about something becomes flexible and moves as fast as it is right now. I mean, just political parties, political ethos, everything is just in a great muddle. And of course, punch, I'm sure, wouldn't help. Confuse the issue.
Throw fuel on the fire.
But it's, I thought about actually doing something like the Punch and Judy, where all the characters were different sort of religious leaders from the Bible Belt area. So it'd be everything from a Tammy Faye Baker puppet, all the way through, whoever. But
that would be
it'd
great.
be fun to do that. As an actor, it would be quite fun.
Yes. Oh, who was that one I was thinking of? The laugh. Oh my gosh, what is? Oh my God, I gotta see Kenneth Copeland. I don't know if you've ever checked out Kenneth Copeland, Michael, but he is a character, and he would be a great puppet.
But it's like every generation pulls up another typology in that world.
Yeah,
and it's fascinating. It's but I'm just thinking about this puppet play that you just made me think about doing. Tammy Faye Baker would make a great puppet.
Punch and Tammy.
That's Judy, of course.
That's Judy, yes.
And as he beats her on the head, you get all that sort of dust. Give me a break.
Michael, I do have to say too, and I saw it last night when I was preparing for this interview, you were on an episode of Breaking Bad.
A great what?
You were on an episode of Breaking Bad, correct?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's so cool.
Yeah.
And I
In
love
my
the
underwear.
episode. I love the series. I want to go back and rewatch it.
I wish I'd done more for that show. And we just realized that Saul, that repeat or the continuation of Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Now it's coming to an end, and it looks like there's another one on the boil. So it's going to be interesting to see what that is.
Cool.
Yeah, that's the baby you've seen. Have you seen the baby?
I have not seen the baby yet.
I mean, it is a disgusting baby.
Oh no.
Some babies are disgusting. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to have a baby, you know what they're like.
The eyes.
Ultimately turn into. Yeah, right.
Hopefully it comes into proportion as it grows up.
No wonder he throws it out the window.
Or
What would you do with it? And of course, that's the 19th century idea of being punished for something, right? Is Captain Hook being eaten by the crocodile in Peter Pan?
yes.
So that was simply applied. That same attitude was applied to the Punch and Judy, because there've always been people screaming their heads off. Mr. Punch doesn't, he doesn't ever gets punished. The fact of the matter is that of all the characters in there, all of them, because they're human beings, including Punch, they have to do that show over and over and over for 500 years. And that starts becoming a real punishment. That's karma in the heaviest of senses.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, what is this?
So good. Oh, that's karma. Love it.
I do like it.
Yes.
So they had and so the same the same bit of drama was enacted for the Punch and Judy. The crocodile has got to eat Punch. Great. So what happened? When you eat the brain of your enemy in New Guinea, right, you take on the characteristics, all of that. So Punch has now been eaten by the crocodile. The crocodile becomes the new hero, and he did, and it became a Judy and Crocodile show.
That's funny. I like that.
That's so good.
And they had to sort of put him in a situation where now all he ever does is he takes Punch's sausages. That's the closest thing to punishment that Punch ever has for his evil deeds.
Oh, that's so great.
We're gonna take your sausage.
Oh, Michael, we have to wrap it up, but thank you so much for coming on and for showing us all that amazing stuff.
And I love doing it. You've got a great situation. I so admire what you're doing.
We love what you're doing, and we're so grateful that we've gotten to connect with you. I feel like this is one of our high points. Like, we've done some cool stuff, but this has always been one of our greatest moments is talking to you.
And a great moment in my life as well.
Thank you,
Thank
Michael.
you for that.
No problem. Do you have a website? Where can everybody find you, or an email?
I do have a website, and that it's not a website as such, but anybody can just look me up, Google me in puppetry, in film. So in either area, film, puppetry, just a combination of the two, whatever, my stuff comes up. And it's almost everything visually is online. So it's great. And I'd love to hear from anybody who's really puppet interested. So
yeah, and you're a great interview. I feel like anybody could have you on and just have a great conversation with you.
Listen, I don't mind giving my email. If there are people out there puppet interested, let me do that. May I?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so it's prof.micmac, MICMAC, which is perfect, at gmail.com.
Awesome.
Professor McMac,
Yeah.
and it's Michael Mick, right? McMac, right? Irish. It's an Irish thing.
Gotcha.
Okay. Thanks again, guys.
No problem, Michael. Thank you. And we will definitely still be in touch, even if we're not on.
Do be in touch. You know I'll do it anytime.
Awesome.
Thank
Thank
you,
you, Michael.
Terrific.
Take care, my friend.
Bye for now.
Have a good night.